So a few weeks back, I made a video talking about RWBY's upcoming anime and how excited I am for it, and there was a good amount of feedback that I got, and there was quite a few questions that many of you asked me when I made that video. For one of the biggest questions was that if you never watched the original RWBY series, can you watch this new RWBY anime that is coming out for Summer of Anime 2022? But on top of that, many have been wondering when is it really going to be airing, because obviously there's been very mixed things. Some people say it's coming out on July 3rd, and then obviously there's been news that's coming out on July 24th, which is, tomorrow, aka tomorrow, and so there's a lot of things about it. So let's cover all of this, what you need to know for the upcoming RWBY anime. So for one, if you are someone that has no idea what RWBY is, like for instance, you have never watched the original series that was made by Roosterteeth, then do not worry. You do not need to watch the original RWBY. For one, the reason for that is because the RWBY anime is going to be a remake, but in an anime format. It's going to be 2D instead of CGI, and it's going to be following, the actual original story. So I am very excited for it. That's one of the big reasons I'm excited, because they could potentially veer off and do their own thing with it, but I am excited to see just RWBY in a 2D type setting. And on top of that, it is being made by Studio Shaft, the same studio that has brought us Monogatari, March Comes In Like a Lion, etc. They're a very well-known studio. So it's not a studio you could just say, it's not a big studio. It's a popular studio, and it's a big studio. And they're very known for their wacky animation and colors, but also their overall head tilts. I think everybody's heard about the head tilts that are in Shaft series, so we're probably going to get a lot of characters that's going to have head tilts, but obviously there is a lot more information to discuss. Now there's another thing to discuss. People have been wondering as well, if you have watched the original RWBY series, you've probably been wondering, is there going to be a dub for the RWBY series? Because obviously there's many that have probably watched RWBY and they only have seen the dub, and they have never watched the Japanese sub that came out way later when RWBY started to air. And for that reason, yes, there is going to be a dub for RWBY. However, the dub apparently, as you can see on screen here, has actually been delayed. Now, there is no confirmed release date from what I can see here, like it talks about right here, and I'll read this in just a second. But, basically, there is no confirmed release date for the English dub. Apparently, it was pushed back, but there will be a sub, the Japanese sub. So, if you're one of those that's new to RWBY and all that, and you haven't really heard the original voices, it's going to be completely fine. You're not going to have to worry, because it's still going to be Japanese subbed, and it's going to be some very famous voice actors that's actually voicing the RWBY sub, or the Japanese dub, so don't worry on that. Now, as for the dub, it's going to be an interesting experience, because obviously I've only watched RWBY in English dub, so I am curious to see how the Japanese is going to turn out for the series tomorrow when it's set to air, which that's the next thing, a good segue to talk about. When is it airing? So, obviously, as you can see here on the screen, it talks about how it's supposed to air on June 24th, and it was going to actually be premiering on the 3rd, as you can see here, but if you have, let's say, Roosterteeth, or you have Crunchyroll, you're going to be able to watch the first 3 episodes tomorrow. So that is exciting. So we're going to have quite a bit of content to be able to watch, and I am curious exactly how it's going to be adapted. Like, okay, to kind of clarify, the original episodes of RWBY, like, the CGI series, it wasn't a full-length 20-plus minute long episodes. They were like 7 minutes sometimes 12 minutes. They varied in length. And so I am curious if, like, the episodes are actually going to be 20-something minutes long. And if so, that's going to be a very different format than what RWBY originally started with. There's going to be a lot more content, especially 3 episodes. That's going to be quite a bit. That's going to be a lot of content that they can kind of cover in that short time span of just 3 episodes. Which, speaking of episodes, there's another thing that this post talks about. So it talks about here that the series is going to be 12 episodes long. So, a 12-episode season of RWBY. Now, once again, if this is like 20-minute worth of content, like if we're having the average anime run length, I feel like that's enough time, probably, to potentially cover Season 1 and maybe Season 2 of content for the anime. I could be wrong there, but I do believe that at least there's enough time for that. So anyways, there's another thing to talk about as well. I do hope that the music, the soundtrack of this upcoming RWBY anime that's going to air tomorrow, is going to be using the original soundtrack from the RWBY show. Because if you have never listened to the OST, it is easily one of the best things about the RWBY show. It's great. Like, their opening songs, to just the music in general, it's super good, and I really hope that the original soundtracks from the original RWBY is used for this show. I hope so. However, if they want to do some remixes and some differences, I'm all for it, but there is a possibility that there will be completely new music, or the old music, we don't really know at this point. So yeah, I think for the most part, that's everything you need to know for the anime tomorrow, because there's been a lot of questions about it, and I wanted to clarify, because I'm excited. I'm very excited to talk about the series tomorrow. Like, I cannot wait to make a video on it and really discuss it, because I like RWBY. I really do. I love the early points of RWBY and how it was, so I am excited to see how the anime is, and so I want those that have no idea what RWBY is about to go in knowing that, yes, you can watch it with no problems whatsoever. But okay, I'll leave it at that. You all have a fantastic night or day whenever you watch this video, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Be safe, stay healthy, Chibi out.